Welcome into another edition of our In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. Tom Leach along with Keeneland's Director of Simulcasting, Jim Goodman. And we're going to take a look to begin at 4 graded stakes races at Arlington Park, which is their Arlington Million preview day. And we will start in the 5th race, the Grade 3 American Derby. And it is 3-year-olds going 1 mile and 1/8 on the turf. Not a large field, but pretty well-matched group, I thought. How'd you see it?
Yeah, I thought so, too. This does start the late Pick 4. Arlington's only running 8 races, so this is the 5th through the 8th, so the Pick 4 starts here. I took the 3 horses exiting the Grade 2 American Turf at Churchill. I think that race was fairly strong, and although Devisadero won and didn't come back and win last week at Belmont, but really didn't have a shot in closing into a slow pace. So Devisadero and a lot both come back and won out of that American Turf, so it's going to be a key race. Of the 3 horses that exit that race, Fire Spike, the 7, World Approval, the 6, I'd take World Approval a little bit, but I think nonetheless the 4 might have a little bit more positional speed here, and Chris Block and Florence Giroux might have the edge on these other 2 that got to come from out of it. So I took nonetheless here, but probably a little bit of a price because he only finished 6th in the American Turf, got beat by 5.5, but wasn't a great trip. And I think this race suits him better. There's no other early speed in here. So a lot of closers might get the jump on him out of the gate from the 4 holes. So I'm going to take nonetheless the 4 on top of World Approval, the 6, and Fire Spike, the 7.
As we always say, we don't confer on this before we start doing it, and I like the same horse for the same reasons. I think I picked nonetheless on that stake on Derby Day, and he ran okay and didn't have a great trip, but I think he certainly fits with the other leading contenders in here, and I think you're going to get a little bit of a price. Fire Spike, World Approval, I would have to use with him, and I'd probably use an exacta with Crittenden, the 1, just really impressive at Indiana Downs, but I'm not really too optimistic that he's going to win it. I think nonetheless is a good value in the Grade 3 American Derby and a good chance to get that late Pick 4 started off with a little bit of a price. 6th race is the Arlington Handicap, and this is really similar to the Stars and Stripes later in the card. This one's 1 mile and 3/16 for 3-year-olds and up. The other one's 1.5 miles. I'm not sure whether they have 2 races like that on the same card, but nevertheless, you've got some cross entries, including the Pizza Man. I think he'll probably go in the Stars and Stripes. Even if he goes in here, I like Up With the Birds at the 1 mile and 3/16. I think he's second off a long layoff, and he's got a lot of back class, and I thought the race up at Pimlico was pretty good for Graham Motion, better than I thought he'd run, actually, and so I expect him to improve off that. If the Pizza Man runs, I'd certainly use him in an exacta. Triple Threat in Middleburg, I think a couple of improving types that if I was doing the Pick 4, I'd probably use them as well and spread a little bit in here, but my win pick is going to be the 2-horse Up With the Birds. How about the Arlington Handicap for you, Jim?
I would take the Pizza Man if he runs here because Pizza Man loves Arlington, 8 through 11. I'm going to take him whichever one he chooses to run in. This one was Stars and Stripes because I really like the way he finishes. I like the way he runs at this track, and I just think that he, on a class basis, just kind of separates himself from the rest of these. But I do like 2 horses that you mentioned, Triple Threat, the 8th, and Middleburg, the 9th. They ran 1-2 in the Grade 2 Monmouth on June 7th. So it's hard to separate them, so I would take both of them below the Pizza Man. And the horse that I do like Up With the Birds. I think the Dixie was a decent race for him. Ironicus came back and won out of that race. Not a great trip. And they thought enough of this horse to run the Japan Cup back in November. So if he recovers his form from last October, he's going to be tough to beat. But the other horse that I liked at the price was Quiet Force for Michael Maker and Julian Leperoux. I think he may get overlooked here. And he was the favorite in the Parks race. May have not liked the Parks track, but if you go back to Indiana, and people don't look at Indiana Downs races very favorably, but he ran really well in Indiana and won a $103,000 stakes race back in July. So I think Quiet Force might be a price here. Michael Maker's not a slouch, and Leperoux rides for him a lot, so I would take him in there in the bottom of the trifecta.
7th race is the Grade 3 Modesty Handicap. Fillies and Mares 3 and up on the turf at 1 mile and 3/16. This is a prep for the Beverly D on Million Weekend. Who'd you like in there?
I like the horse Neil Drysdale ships in from Santa Anita with a horse called Gaga A, raced in France almost exclusively, and actually won a Group 3 in France back in November. Had one race here at 1.5 miles, at Santa Anita and won that race as a prep for this. This is a mile and 3/16, so the distance won't be any problem. I like Nota de Oro, rounding back in form after winning a couple last year. Riposte has got a lot of back class, but hasn't been quite the same lately. I would take off Gaga A probably on top with Nota de Oro and Riposte below that with All, because I think you can make a case for Honey Lake. I think you can make a case for Seeking Treasure. And Mango Diva is an interesting horse, too, only the second North American start for her. So I'm going to take Gaga A on top.
I'm going to try a little bit of a price here with Walk Close. Has not won in 2 starts this year, but her figs are better than they were last year, and she kept good company then. I like that they get Jamie Graham to ride here. He knows this turf course very well, rides it well. So I'm going to try Walk Close for a bit of a price. Got to use her with Gaga A. I'm going to use Overheard and Mango Diva as well in exactas, but I'm going to key off the 4-horse Walk Close in the Modesty. The 8th race is the Grade 3 Stars and Stripes at 1.5 miles on the turf, and I would take the Pizza Man here. Just loves this course. Won this race last year. Extra Luck comes off a nice win at Churchill. I thought For Greater Glory had maybe even a little tougher trip than it shows on paper, so I think he's got a shot, although he's never been a turf specialist. The 7 Affordable at a bit of a price. Looked like a nice one when he won at Keeneland a couple of years back, but has never really built on that too well. So I'm going to key here on the number 2 horse, the Pizza Man and the Stars and Stripes. How about you?
If the Pizza Man runs here, I think he's a single in pick 4. If he doesn't run, I think it's a spread race in the pick 4. I think he's that much better than the other horses. But if you toss him out, it's an absolutely great race. So I'm kind of hoping he runs in the earlier race and leaves this one to get you a price, because I think you can make a case for all the horses that you mentioned, plus a horse that you didn't mention, Yankee Dealer, the 8 horse. Yankee Dealer is also cross-entered, but if he runs here, he's really moving up. His last 3 buyers are 79, 85, and 90. Although he exits a optional $62,000 claiming race, he still beat Mr. Mardi Gras, which is a good older class horse here. And I like the ascending buyers, and I also like the fact that he won on a yielding turf course. And with all the rain we've had and the chance of rain this weekend, it may come up a little soft. So Yankee Dealer would be my choice if the Pizza Man doesn't run, but I would also use Mr. Mardi Gras, Extra Luck, Roman Approval, and Horse Me Outside from Drysdale, 3 Hearts, the 11.
The Central Bank Ashland winner, who went on to win the Kentucky Oaks, is making her first start since Derby weekend. Lovely Maria, the heavy favorite in the Grade 3 Delaware Oaks at Delaware Park. She'll be going 1 mile and a 16th, same distance as the Ashland. This is for 3-year-old fillies. And I guess the question is, can you beat Lovely Maria here?
I don't think so. I think this filly, she looked as good in the paddock as any horse I've ever seen at Keeneland. And I think I said before, I ran out and bet on her at 8-5. I don't usually bet 8-5 horses, but that was probably the best bet I've made in a long time. And she came back and proved it in the Kentucky Oaks. They've given her off since May 1st, and it's a perfect place for them to get ready for bigger and better things. It's a $300,000 race. I think she's going to be ready to roll here, and I think she's deservedly a big favorite. White Clover, the other Larry Jones filly in here, is 5-1 on the morning line, and went wire to wire last time out at Delaware. Just 2 for 2 at Delaware, so I think she's got a shot at getting in the money. Peace and War, the 8 horse, is a little intriguing to me as well. She wins the Alcibiades last year in her first North American start, and then hasn't really done much since then, and came back in the same race that White Clover comes out of and did run better. So she's got a race over the track as well. So I would use Peace and War below Lovely Maria, along with White Clover. But Lovely Maria is my pick here. I just want to see her running.
Yeah, I couldn't pick against her either. I mean, she's not going to bring her A game for this, because she's aiming at, this is a prep on the step to bigger and better things. But so that leaves her a tinge of vulnerability, but she's working well and just has a class edge, I think, on these. If she gets beat, I think the only one that I would take to beat her would be a horse called Bar of Gold. I like this horse actually in the Acorn. She ran big on April 23rd and was so impressive that they put her in the Acorn, Grade 1, on Belmont Stakes Day, and she actually took a little bit of money and was pretty highly regarded in there, had a horrible start, beat about half the field, so she ran incredibly, and I think she would have a shot at that 10-1 price to interest me. So what I'd do is just take a 5-3 exacta box and If the price gets really good, I might put a little small win bet on Bar of Gold. But basically, can't imagine Lovely Maria wouldn't be second if she fails to win. So I just take a 5-3 exacta box and hope I get a little bit of value on Bar of Gold, even if she runs second, to get a decent exacta price. That race, by the way, is our Keeneland Select video pick of the week that Katie Gensler and I do. And we also talk about the Twitter tourney pick in there, which is this week in the preceding race. You pick 2 winners in a row, and you could get a nice bump into your Keeneland Select account. And it's the Robert G. Dick Memorial. I took the 8-horse Lady of Gold for Graham Motion in there at a bit of a price. Kitten's Point, who won the closing day stake at Keeneland in the spring, she's running in there. And let's go to Los Alamitos for their 8th race. It's the Grade 2 Great Lady M. Fillies and Mares 3 and up, going 6.5 furlongs. And you got Warren's Veneta cutting back from 2 turn races, and I like that in here. I thought there's a ton of speed in here, and so I think it sets it up well for Warren's Veneta, getting a little class relief from where she was last time, and she's run well here before. Started looking at this and started to go to Fantastic Style for Baffert, but there's just so much speed in here that I think I'd just take a 7-6 exacta box and Warren's Veneta for the win in the Great Lady M. How about you?
Yeah, this is a race that just it screams out at this pace is going to fall apart. I couldn't take any of the speed horses. Amaranth, the 1, Sunday Rules, the 5, and Fantastic Style, the 6. In a different shaped race, they could all be favored, but I don't think so here with all the speed. Now, if one of them scratches out or 2 of them scratches out, it changes. But I think Warren's Veneta benefits from that pace meltdown. She's the most likely winner. But the horse that I think has a shot, if you talk about back class, is clearly confused. The 2 horse. I ought to bet on that just because I'm clearly confused about a lot of things these days. But coming out of the Humana Distaff Grade 1 at Churchill and the Madison Grade 1 at Keeneland, only got beat by 2 3/4 in the Madison and 2 3/4 in the Humana Distaff to Dame Dorothy. Dame Dorothy's in this field. She's 1-5. So I think Clearly Confused also is a horse that will come from way out of it. So it might be, if the pace completely melts down, Clearly Confused and Warren's Veneta going down the stretch. And that would be a better price than Warren's Veneta anyway. So I would use those 2 on top with the speed horses underneath.
By the way, we should remind folks that the simulcasting is getting ready to move in Lexington to a new location here soon as Del Mar and then Saratoga get ready to crank up, right?
We are. We are moving to the Red Mile effective Wednesday, the 15th of July. And I want to make sure everybody knows that the instant racing facility, which is going to be the centerpiece of the new construction, is not ready yet. It's not ready till September. So when you drive by Red Mile Road, it looks like a construction zone because it is. But you can go behind the round barn and get to parking and easy access to the simulcast facility, which is technically on the 2nd floor, but it's the floor that enters out onto the apron of the racetrack. And we've got some really nice things over here. All new TVs, all new flooring, new lighting. You won't recognize the Red Mile. It's a great upgrade to the facilities here, and the people here have been so nice to the Keeneland people moving in with them, and you're going to be able to wager not only thoroughbred but standardbred, quarter horse, all in one location. That hadn't happened in Lexington since 1999. So if you like all breeds and you like to do it at all hours, we're going to be open probably from noon till 11 o'clock each day, Sunday through Monday, every single day of the week. So Sunday through Monday, I am Clearly Confused.
That's right. Well, look for that.
7 days a week.
Look for that
7 days
starting
a week.
next Wednesday as the simulcasting moves from Keeneland. Now, we'll still be at Keeneland during the race meet. You can bet on other tracks during the sales and some select things like that. But for the most part, it's going to be at the Red Mile. It'll just be going on at both places occasionally. But for the most part, it's
That's
just
right.
at the Red Mile. Best of luck on your wagers this weekend, and we'll be back next week for another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.